everyone, Samhita here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the purpose of commitment in relationships. There have been a lot of debates about this in the modern world, about how commitment is a hindrance to freedom, and I'm here to debunk those very notions from a more broader perspective. So let's get into it. First point we're going to talk about is responsibility and commitment and how it enables freedom. Now, this might seem ridiculous. You may think that responsibility is something that is a burden, something to take care of, and commitment is something that chains you, that bounds you to one single thing. However, not just in relationships, but also in every area of life, the more you are committed to something, the more that enables comfort. The more people are committed to their roles in your day-to-day life, the more comfort that gives you. Your food delivery partners are committed to doing their job. That's why you can get food whenever you want. The milkman is committed to delivering milk to your house every day. That's why you are at ease. The newspaper dude, the people in your life who are enabling maximum ease and comfort are committed to their roles. So commitment is something that brings you comfort and brings you freedom. Also responsibility, because the more you take responsibility, the more freedom you have. For example, the principal of a school has more responsibility than a teacher, but who can take a leave whenever they want to without having to appeal or ask for it? The principal, right? Being the principal of a school is more responsibility, but also that comes with more freedom. Even in relationships, the greater the commitment, the easier things are. I'm not saying that relationships are easy, relationships are work, but the more easy it becomes to come into your own, to be your best self, to be a beautiful partner, a person, to be able to confront your fears, to be able to confront your blind spots, to be able to come up with solutions. When it is clear that you are committed to making something work, where there's a will, there's a way. So there is no escaping out of that commitment and going to the next source available that's less complicated. No, you come up with different ideas and ways by which you make it work, and that is a sense of okay, no matter what, the end goal is clear, so that my energy will be directed to that end goal and will not be scattered across too many things. Gives you a clear sense of purpose, and within that purpose lies the ultimate freedom to exercise all your abilities in order to make something work. If not, your abilities are scattered across different things and you do not really realize your true potential in the absence of commitment with respect to making a relationship work, or with respect to confronting parts of yourself that only a relationship can bring about. Commitment and responsibility allows you to fully flower into who you are as a person. Commitment allows freedom to be your best self and to reach your highest potential, whereas the lack of it scatters your energy. Because commitment gives you such a sense of direction, you know which direction you're headed. You're solving things with one person, you're solving how to make a relationship more deeper, more better, working on weak spots, resolving conflict, etc., etc. Greater the commitment, easier things become. The lesser the commitment, the more suffocating they become. You'll recognize, because then there's all this room for human insecurity, and everyone who says that, oh, if you're more secure with yourself, commitment does not become a requirement, you're just trying to own somebody, or you're trying to exercise your right to be put first. Basically, people who talk about being secure, paving the pathway for open relationships and relationships that do not have commitment, do not know what they're talking about. Which will bring me to my next point in a bit, about how lack of commitment in relationships does not allow for much personal growth, and there's a lot of lacking connection to the self when there is an affinity for no commitment. But I will come to that in a bit. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, one of the main reasons that people don't take commitment is that because they fear that they'll lose their freedom to be, see, do whatever they want to. But funnily enough, what curbs their freedom to be their best, highest, most free self is the lack of responsibility, the lack of commitment. And that's such an irony. A lot of ignorance lies in tying freedom to lack of commitment, or like tying commitment to bondage instead of freedom. That is such a misconstrued notion, and I would like to delve into that in future videos. But you will see how with commitment comes a lot more personal freedom to exercise your energy, to do what is good for you, to allow yourself to evolve and grow, to come into your own. I think the more we evolve, the more free we are within our beings, within our inner worlds, the more free we are to be our best selves. And when we are our best selves, we have more freedom and alignment with the world around us. We have the freedom to exercise our notions in a more free flowing way without much obstruction. The world is always going to be filled with multidimensional truths for sure, but we will be able to own our truths in a way that allow us to live more truly and more in alignment and more in acceptance, not just with ourselves, but like we will find acceptance in the people around us as well. As much as having multiple partners or being polyamorous is a life preference, is a personal choice, as much as it is widely accepted in the world today, those ways of living do not really give you the kind of freedom that being committed to somebody gives you. And I've really discovered that. I've really experimented with all sorts of dynamics when it comes to relationships, and I've learned and researched and understood through and through that commitment is such a fruitful concept and why it exists in the world today. It's not just there to like bring social order or to prevent insecurity or to be the only person someone gets to have. That's not the reason why commitment exists. It goes far beyond that. The spiritual reasons mentioned in so many scriptures, again I keep making references, spiritual reasons for commitment go way beyond just these menial things. There's a lot more that comes from the concept of commitment. Like I said, ultimate freedom is, you don't get more freedom from freedom, you get more freedom from responsibility and commitment. I'm going to be delving deeper into these concepts in further future videos, but this is what I have learned and I believe to be true. Coming to my second point, we all have different blind spots when it comes to our triggers, our traumas. Everyone has different areas that they are not aware of that have impacted their lives. Personalities are built in such a way that prevent them from feeling things that they didn't want to feel when they were little and they were growing up, which is so adorable for human beings. I mean, we're such complex mechanisms when it comes to protecting ourselves and surviving, and you know, surviving our own minds and our hearts. But also at the same time, as adults, I think the more aware you get, the more spiritually inward you grow, you realize that a lot of these things are just defense mechanisms, and they're not really things that define you. They're not really things that you should live your life by. Coming back to my main point, everyone has parts of themselves that they're probably insecure about, or they're not safe with, or they don't trust the world with. You know, there's always a source for any anger or like hatred or any negative emotion towards certain things in the world that exist. So what relationships do, they really bring to the surface the things that we do not want to deal with or we've not dealt with in a long time face to face, the parts of ourselves, our shadow selves, parts of ourselves that need work, that need reparenting, the parts of ourselves that need healing. Relationships, committed long-term relationships, really bring that out, bring that to the surface. Usually the 5 stages of relationships, first stage is the honeymoon stage, then it goes into the power struggle stage. During this stage is when you start to trigger your partner's like deepest wounds and fears, and they trigger your deepest wounds and fears. And during this stage is when there's a lot of room for growth, learning and conflict navigating. There's so much room to truly come into your own and adapt and learn and face parts of yourself that you've never faced before. But you can never reach this depth of a relationship if there is no commitment, because you don't owe anyone that much of trust with yourself or like that much intimacy or that much dependability. You're not opening up yourself and laying your soul bare for someone else to like, you know, be dedicated to it. That's not happening. When there's a lack of commitment, there's a lack of intimacy, not just with like you know, like emotional intimacy or physical intimacy, also like deep psychological intimacy with respect to like intimacy with the self. I feel like a partner, a very closely connected, committed partner, really brings out intimacy with yourself and really helps you cultivate intimacy with yourself, because they show you parts of you that you've not accepted and loved, and they're like, hey, look, I see that I can love that too. And these are often things that go way beyond this. They're not like little things like, oh, you're shy to speak in public, oh, I love that about you, you're introverted, that's what makes me like you. They're not just like superficial comments about little flaws. No, they're like deep rooted traumas that come to the surface, and then you realize that oh my god, like I've not confronted this, or I've never come to face, you know, what this has done to me over the years, or what part of my personality this largely contributes to, even though I've like suppressed it under the surface. A partner who's committed to giving you their time, energy, effort, love, cultivating a life with you, building with you, pouring into you, and vice versa. When there is like that ecosystem going with somebody, that energy isn't getting disrupted or scattered or displaced anywhere else, and there's like a constant cycle of like, you know, growth going on. When that happens, is truly when, you know, these things come to the surface for you to grow and learn from them in a way that changes your life. And deep commitment can really, really teach you things that just frivolous relationships or surface level relationships cannot teach you. And this also leads to ultimate freedom with yourself, because there's so much that was kept like locked up in your heart and locked up in the deep corners of your psyche and not free, and letting these be released really gives you a more free version of yourself. You're free of a lot of impressions, trauma, bondage, pain, fears, etc., etc., insecurities. These things become so redundant and you become much, much more empowered. So this is something that I really feel like commitment does. It's such a beautiful thing to realize and come to learn and like recognize. And that realization only comes with like, you know, deep commitment, and you're spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally committed to somebody and committed to making things work. And it's not just like a meeting ends meet kind of thing. It's not sometimes people like just make something so profound and beautiful so like redundant, and reduce the glory and magnanimity of it by saying like, oh, we're just fulfilling our own needs by being in a relationship with this person. It's just human nature, it's just chemicals, blah blah blah. No, it was way beyond that. A deep connection with someone really transforms you in so many different ways, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage to, you know, give your heart and soul and your psyche to somebody. And not everyone can, like, you know, like know you on that deep level. Multiple partners, having multiple partners will not allow you to access that depth, because you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, you're scattering them, and that does not give you the same result that being in a committed partnership gives you, and does not bring the same kind of growth. Coming to my third point, life is always going to be filled with dualities. It's always going to be filled with cravings and aversions, and true freedom and true like purpose lies beyond duality. For example, whether you're like sad or happy, you go work out, or whether you feel like it or not, you go work out, whether you're motivated or not, you go work out, for example. Similarly, whether you feel craving for somebody or averse to somebody, once you made a commitment, you realize that these are cycles. There are days where you feel like you want more space, you want more me time, you want to be away from your partner, you feel averse to them. There are days where you feel like you crave them more, you want their presence more, you want less to do with yourself and more to do with them for a few days. It happens. There is always going to be ups and downs. The more we succumb to this with our lives and minds and bodies, the more we follow our cravings and aversions, the more aimless we will be. We're just going to be a slave to these cyclical dualities. The more you're going to just be like, okay, I don't feel like this today, so I'm just going to go somewhere else where I feel like something else. That is just going to scatter your energy. Being committed to something, being committed to someone really gives you direction for your energy. Again, like I said before, it really tells you where to deploy your abilities. And being in problems, being in situations where you feel uncomfortable, for example, being averse to somebody or having peak conflict, really allows you to come into your problem solving abilities, come into your, because the direction is clear. You're building a life with someone, you have to make it work. That is the direction. What are you going to do? Now, this is not inclusive of abusive relation. I'm not saying that, hey, no matter what the other person does, be committed to them because commitment is important. No, I'm just telling you what the benefits are of prioritizing commitment and nothing else. So that clarity with our sense of direction and where to deploy our abilities, because our abilities fruition, if we can easily check out of a problem and go somewhere else where we don't have to deal with the problem, abilities are not going to come to the surface. Our ability to solve that problem, our quick thinking mind that starts to think of solutions to problems, does not get activated because you look for the escape route. You want the easy way out, and therefore you do not have to confront the part of yourself or meet the part of yourself that can come up with 100 different solutions to a problem. So our abilities come to the surface with commitment, because the end goal is clear. And when you are not scattering energy across different places, you have a reservoir of that energy to give to yourself, to put into your career, to put into your purpose, to put into what you want to do, what you need to do. If you are giving different things, different parts of you, fragments of you, different things, your energy, there is not going to be like, it's like giving limited water in a can to like 10 different gardens and not watering your garden, expecting your garden to grow fast and grow well. That's not going to happen because you're watering so many gardens and the water you have is barely enough. Your energy is a limited resource, though you can keep cultivating it, but it always needs to be replenished. So if every time it gets replenished, if you're going to scatter it across different things, you're not going to have what you need to grow. You're not going to have what you need to prosper. You're not going to have what you need to make your garden grow fast enough, grow green enough, grow healthily enough. That is the key metaphor here, healthily enough. It's much more healthy to be in a committed partnership for your mind, for your psyche, for your security, for your being, for your body. And people who tell you that wanting commitment or believing in commitment is just being an insecure person, please do not listen to them. They are highly uninformed, and these are not notions that really work in the long run. They do not sustain our ability to grow healthily. They do not help us out. So I'm going to cut short this video here. I hope you found this insightful. I know some things I've said here were slightly either unconventional or unheard of to some people, to many people, but I'm just voicing what I know and what I believe in. So no shade to anyone who has any alternative beliefs or opinions. I felt like this was an important topic to talk about and it's highly unspoken about. So I really wanted to get that conversation going. Thank you for watching. Please hit like, subscribe, leave a comment below, hit the bell icon, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.